Welcome to the dystopian hellscape of the gig economy, folks. It's like a video game, except the only thing you win is barely enough money to pay your rent. Gamification. It sounds fun, doesn't it? Like something you do with your kids on a rainy Sunday afternoon, but in the hands of gig economy companies, it's about as much fun as a root canal performed by a drunk dentist. So what exactly is gamification? It's the art of taking elements from games, the things that are supposed to be enjoyable, and shoving them into non-game contexts like work. Because nothing says job satisfaction quite like turning your livelihood into a twisted version of Candy Crush. Companies use this to make mundane tasks more engaging, but in the gig economy, it's less about engagement and more about exploitation. The gig economy giants, your Ubers, your DoorDashes, your Uber Eats, they're not using gamification to bring joy to your life. They're using it to squeeze every last drop of productivity out of you. Now let's talk about bonuses and rewards. In the gig economy, these aren't just nice little extras. They're the carrots dangled in front of your nose, encouraging you to run faster and faster on that digital treadmill. And like a treadmill, no matter how fast you run, you never really get anywhere. You just end up exhausted, sweaty, and wondering why you didn't just stay on the couch. These companies structure their bonuses and rewards in a way that's designed to keep you working longer hours. It's like they've taken the concept of just one more level from video games and applied it to your actual job.
Just one more ride and you'll hit your bonus, they whisper seductively into your ear. And before you know it, you've been driving for 12 hours straight and you're hallucinating that your passengers are talking ferrets.
But here's the kicker. These bonuses often require you to hit increasingly difficult targets. It's like playing a game where the goalposts keep moving further away every time you get close. You might start out thinking, great, I'll just do a few extra hours and earn that sweet bonus, but soon you're working 80-hour weeks just to make ends meet. Now, let's dive into the wonderful world of points, badges, and leaderboards. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? Like you're back in elementary school, earning gold stars for good behavior. Except in this case, those gold stars don't go on your report card. They go straight into the pockets of Silicon Valley executives. These digital trinkets are the smoke and mirrors of the gig economy, designed to distract you from the fact that your base pay is lower than the Mariana Trench. You see, while you're busy chasing that next shiny badge or trying to climb the leaderboard, you might not notice that your actual earnings are barely enough to keep you in ramen noodles.
And let's talk about those leaderboards, shall we? Nothing says healthy work environment quite like pitting workers against each other in a never-ending battle for supremacy. It's like the Hunger Games, but instead of fighting to the death, you're fighting to see who can deliver the most burritos in an hour.
But here's the real kicker. All of these gamified elements are designed to make you feel like you're progressing, achieving, winning. Meanwhile, the company is the one really winning. Welcome to the digital rat race, folks, where the rats are us and the race never ends. In the gig economy, performance metrics aren't just numbers. They're the very essence of your worth as a human being. At least that's what these companies want you to believe. They've taken the concept of keeping score and turned it into a full-blown competitive sport, except the only prize is the ability to keep your head above water financially. These metrics are everywhere. Your acceptance rate, your customer rating, your average delivery time, they're all constantly being measured, analyzed, and used to judge your worth. It's like being in school again, except instead of grades determining your future, these scores determine whether you'll be able to pay your electric bill this month.
But here's the real kicker. These metrics aren't just about measuring your performance. They're about creating a hyper-competitive environment where workers are constantly trying to outdo each other. It's like they've taken the worst aspects of capitalism and distilled them into a hellish app. Psychologist. And the worst part? This constant competition is exhausting. It's mentally draining to always be on, always trying to beat your personal best, always worried that one bad rating could tank your entire livelihood.
Section 5, unpredictable payouts, the psychological rollercoaster, unpredictable bonuses and streaks, the gig economy's version of a slot machine, except instead of pulling a lever, you're pulling up to strangers' houses at all hours of the night. These companies have taken the concept of variable reinforcement, the psychological trick that keeps gamblers glued to slot machines, and applied it to your paycheck. Because nothing says stable employment quite like never knowing how much money you'll make from week to week.
Here's how it works. You start your shift and suddenly there's a notification. Complete 10 deliveries in the next 2 hours for a $50 bonus. Exciting, right? You think, great, I'll just work a little harder and earn some extra cash. But what you don't realize is that you've just been hooked. You're now on a psychological roller coaster, and these companies are the ones controlling the track.
These streaks and bonuses are designed to keep you working just a little bit longer, to push you just a little bit harder. It's like they've gamified the concept of overworking yourself. Just one more delivery and you'll hit your streak, they whisper. And before you know it, you've been working for 14 hours straight, you haven't eaten, and you're pretty sure that last customer was actually a hallucination brought on by exhaustion. Section 6, the invisible hand, algorithmic job control. Welcome to the brave new world of algorithmic overlords, folks, where your boss isn't a person but a complex set of equations that probably understands calculus better than it understands human needs. In the gig economy, algorithms don't just suggest your next task, they control every aspect of your working life with all the compassion of a particularly ruthless chess computer.
These algorithms decide who gets work, when they get it, and how much they'll be paid. It's like a digital version of those claw machines at arcades, except instead of trying to grab a stuffed animal, you're desperately trying to snag enough work to pay your bills. And just like those claw machines, the game is rigged. The algorithm doesn't care if you need more hours this week because your cat ate something it shouldn't have, and now you've got a massive vet bill. It doesn't care if you've been waiting for hours for a decent paying gig. It just coldly calculates and decides your fate.
But here's where it gets really insidious. These algorithms are designed to manipulate worker behavior. They might flood the market with drivers during peak hours, ensuring that no one makes too much money. They might withhold higher-paying jobs from workers who turn down too many low-paying ones. Section 7, Safety. Last, the perils of rapid decision-making. Now let's talk about safety, or rather the complete lack of it in the gig economy's race to the bottom. These companies, in their infinite wisdom, have decided that the best way to maximize efficiency is to turn their workers into human versions of those Roadrunner cartoons. Except instead of outrunning a coyote, you're trying to outrun the ever-present threat of not making enough money to survive.
The pressure to make rapid decisions is constant. You've got mere seconds to decide whether to accept a ride or delivery. It's like being on a game show where the prize is being able to pay your rent, and the penalty for getting it wrong is, well, not being able to pay your rent. And all of this while you're probably driving, because multitasking is apparently a requirement for gig work. Nothing says road safety quite like trying to navigate rush hour traffic while simultaneously playing gig worker roulette on your phone.
But it's not just about the immediate safety concerns of distracted driving. This constant pressure to make split-second decisions affects your overall well-being. Section 8. The human cost, stress, burnout, and exploitation. Let's talk about the human cost of all this gamified exploitation, shall we? Because behind all those shiny badges and leaderboards are real people with real lives, real bills to pay, and real breaking points. The gig economy isn't just changing how we work, it's changing us. And not in the way those motivational posters with soaring eagles would have you believe. Then there's burnout. These companies have turned the concept of work-life balance into a cruel joke. It's all work all the time, because if you're not working, you're not earning, and if you're not earning, you're not eating. It's like being on a hamster wheel, except the hamster is you, and instead of running towards a piece of cheese, you're running away from financial ruin. S1 Media, overworked gig worker looking frustrated while scrolling through smartphone notifications. First up, stress. Working in the gig economy is like being in a constant state of fight or flight, except instead of fighting a bear, you're fighting an algorithm that seems to have been programmed by that same bear, but with an MBA. Every ping, every notification, every customer rating becomes a potential threat to your livelihood. It's like walking through a minefield where the mines are made of one-star reviews and missed bonuses.